Could a major cleanup campaign currently sweeping through the city of Johannesburg, the inner city, be the beginnings of a turnaround from an appalling state of neglect, decay, filth and grime to the livable and thriving business-conducive hub that the city once was? Well, City Mayor Dada Morero has suddenly found his energy and is leading a campaign of strict bylaw enforcement in the Joburg CBD. It includes removing hawkers said to be operating illegally, intensified inspections, stricter penalties, and a renewed push to restore order in town and improve service delivery for residents and businesses in the area. Morero says the measures are aimed at tackling lawlessness, ensure compliance with municipal laws, and to clean up the belly of the city. However, the campaign has quickly run into legal trouble, with the Socio-Economic Rights Institute, SERI, taking the City of Johannesburg to court, challenging aspects of the enforcement drive and raising concerns about traders' rights and due process. So joining me for this conversation, I have Mayor of the City of Joburg, Dada Morero, and virtually also joined by Deborah Rabuda, who is an attorney at SERI, as well as academic and organizational developer Dr. Sibongile Vilakazi. Good afternoon to all of you. Let me start with you, Mr. Mayor, before we unpack the implications of this cleanup campaign. Why now? A lot of people are asking what happened. The city seemed to be headed one way, and that one way was south in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of bylaw enforcement, livability, water, sewage, and everything in the inner city was just headed south, and suddenly we see you being very active. Does this have anything to do with the G20 coming or the elections?
Thanks to Lasizo, and good day to your guests and your listeners. Let me indicate or start in this fashion. In November 2024, we conducted a walkabout with all senior managers, departments and entities of the city, which I led in the inner city, to identify the challenges that are there in the city and to make the officials of government and entities to see what problems are in the city. That was followed, of course, by a mayoral lekgotla, which then set the tone and adopted a program to reclaim the inner city, which program had three key priorities, one of them being bylaw enforcement and crime prevention, service delivery and cleanliness of the city, and the last one being the financial sustainability of the city. So we focused on those three issues until, therefore, we passed the budget in June, which budget then set all the things and priorities we have set to achieve. We now have the resources and the funds to fund that program. And you know that our budget is a fully funded budget. Now, we then started with the implementation on the 2nd of October, focusing in particular streets in the inner city to ensure that we reclaim those streets, we clean those streets. Where trading is not allowed, we enforce the law. Where trading is allowed, we regularize, we register, and we accredit every street hawker that needs to be in the markets which are designated for trading. Now, that's the program that we're in, and I think even yesterday, I have issued smart cards to about 156 traders who are located in the North market, and they've started with their trading.
Let me bring you into this conversation. What's your sense of the point at which this intervention is being made? Is it too little, too late in terms of the advancement of the decay and the grime in the inner city? Or does this intervention stand a chance of actually turning the situation around?
Yes, thank you, Lasizo, and good afternoon. I think it's never too late. When someone decides to fix something that is going wrong, it's just never too late. You can decide at any point that from here going forward, things will be done differently. With any change, I mean, if you look at change theories, they will tell you that you need a sense of agency to kickstart the change that you may be driving. And in this case, the sense of agency became G20, and obviously the upcoming elections. It's literally a manna from heaven for the mayor to have had these activities happening. So now the question is, can he use this change or these triggers to his advantage to make sure that then going forward, the city of Johannesburg will start looking the way that we all want it to look like. But from where he is at the moment, it looks like it's good momentum. There is the correct triggers that have driven it.
Yeah.
Now the question is, can we sustain it?
So, Deborah, there's been this cry that something needs to be done about the state of Johannesburg, people saying that it was becoming unlivable and simply unsustainable. At some point, something had to give. Firstly, do you as SERI agree that something had to give? And if you do, then why are you going to court?
Good afternoon. My name is Deborah Radoba. And as SERI, we have no problem with the developments or even the cleanliness or the things that the city wants to do. I think SERI and the informal traders that we represent have always wanted to work with the city. And what our clients find themselves now in is they're in the dark. They weren't given sufficient notice to know that their form of livelihoods would be taken away from them. And even now, as it stands, we've sent the city various correspondence asking them what's happening, what are the timelines, why wasn't there prior notice or any procedurally fair processes done? And when can our clients expect to resume their informal trade? And even with the new systems in place, with the smart cards that the mayor did mention, how then do you ensure that people who have been trading and have been trying to trade lawfully, insofar as the city was able to accommodate them, or the laws allowed them to? How are they going to accommodate them now? Because there were no processes within where our clients could comply, because the city had no a valid operating system to regulate trade for quite some time, for quite a couple of years. And so now our clients find themselves in a situation where overnight their livelihood is taken from them and they just in the dark.
Deborah, I tell you what, I do want you to, both you and the mayor, and excuse me, Dr. Vilakazi, for a moment, I do want the two of you to address that particular issue that you raised. Mr. Mayor, I think the bone of contention are streets that you say were never demarcated for trading anyway. Say a bit more about that point. The vendors that are being removed, what's the infraction that they've committed that has led to you acting now?
Well, thanks to Lasizwe. The street we're talking about, De Villa Street in the main, it is not meant for trading, except where we have built trading markets, which I think there's about 4 markets around that road. And we have approved those traders who have been there. They've had permits, except those that were trading without permits were then asked to leave and go and undergo a process of application and vetting. Those who have the permits remained even after the 2nd of October when we started with the operation. The second street is on Ward Street, which we have now issued. The markets there accommodate about 156 traders, 57, and we have now issued them with a smart card with proper registers. We are waiting just to finalize those that it's about 10 of them who are asylum seekers or refugees. We are waiting for Home Affairs to confirm their status. And once the status is confirmed by the Department of Home Affairs, we will then issue them with their trading permits and smart cards. Now, to Lasizwe, we did not at any stage infringe on anyone's rights. All what we did was to reclaim the street that is not permitted for street trading. Mm-hmm. Secondly, the law says for you to be able, maybe Ms. Raduba will help us, I hope I've pronounced well, to confirm whether she would confirm that in fact, for you to trade with clothes, second-hand clothes, you're required by law to also have a permit from the South African Police Services.
So
now, in this case, we don't have any of those traders having the right city permits. In fact, they closed the entire road. They took the road. It's lawlessness. And we are addressing that part, and that is why we have given the markets, and they're in the markets, and they're trading 55 stores.
So, Deborah, respond to that then. If these traders, your clients, were never entitled to be trading there by virtue of city bylaws, what's your fight about then? What are you fighting for?
My clients, if the city checks their database, our clients have been trading there for well over 20 years. And even when the city last had a system where they were regulating informal traders, our clients were there. What happened then is the city stopped issuing permits. And so there was no way for our clients to comply with whatever permit system or so forth, because no permit system essentially existed. And so when now the city came in and said they want to develop permits, they want to do that system, our clients have always complied. They've always availed themselves for verification and so forth. But what has happened essentially here is there was no lawful procedure that was followed by the city. Just on the 2nd of October, they were just told that they can no longer trade in the area. And if the city was making developments and so forth, they were supposed to be given prior notice. And there were supposed to be interim measures made in place, because our clients live hand to mouth. And so they haven't been able to make a living for the past 3 weeks. And they haven't been given any timelines of when they would then be able to resume trade. And with regard to the fact that new stalls are being allocated and permits being issued, it's something that as SERI we find to be unfair on behalf of our clients, because now it's becoming a first come, first serve system, whereas people who have tried to comply, who have been even paying rent to JPC to occupy the spaces, have now been in a situation where they don't know when they're going to be able to trade, or if they're going to be accommodated in these developments that the city has underway.
Dr. Vilakazi, Dr. Vilakazi, I promise I will give you a bite of this, but I just want to bring in, I see the mayor shaking his head vigorously. What don't you agree with, Mr. Mayor?
I'm not sure if the representative of SERI, has she been in that area before?
I have, and I think my issue is it needs to be distinguished of lawful traders, and we present people who have been trading lawfully.
Exactly my point. The people who are trading lawfully are in the designated areas, which is the stalls in the streets. Those that have been, unfortunately, the city had to go in and reclaim the streets, is the ones that took over the street and set up their own stalls without any approvals from the city, and they took a street where it's a non-trading street.
All right.
Mr. So we have to put these things into right context.
Mr. Mayor, let me bring in...
Those that are legit have been given their paper.
All right, I'll come back to that point. Dr. Vilakazi, this conversation about who gets to trade where, street hawking is a feature of many cities on the African continent with varying degrees and methods of regulating and regularizing it. How does it feature for you in terms of turning around the inner city? How important is street hawking, but also bylaw enforcement around street hawking and a vibrant economy that allows for informal trading in cities like Johannesburg?
Yes, I think the conversation that is currently happening right now between Deborah and the mayor is quite important, because it's not, the case is not that street hawking is not allowed. It is allowed, it's permitted It must just operate within the boundaries of the rules. And in this case, we find ourselves with a situation where, because no one was enforcing the rules, certain people then started occupying spaces that they shouldn't have occupied in the first place. And unfortunately for them, they benefited from, if you may, for lack of a better word, proceeds that just didn't belong to them. And now when the authorities are coming back to say, you shouldn't be here, obviously they are impacted negatively. So there will be a conflict arising from that. But I'm not sure the extent to which they can take it to court and fight and win it. I don't know what those spaces would be. But street trading, it's part of the cities, and urban development must function around that. But also there should be, the rules enable them to then grow. So, because we don't envision that people should be hawkers for a lifetime. We should see an opportunity for them to start in that space, but graduate towards formal business and big business. Yeah. So that's what we hope for. And the rules are there for that, so that we know who they are, what they do, what kind of support do they need to get to the next level. So the fight should not be that we want to remain survivalist forever and the city must enable that. No, it can't be right.
Yeah. Dr. Vilakazi, I'll come back to you again just on that aspect, building up on that aspect, the role of business in partnering with the city around this turnaround that the city is now trying to drive, as well as, how exactly to infuse life into the economy of the inner city. But there's a point you made there, Dr. Vilakazi, that I think is important, and I think Deborah will probably appreciate it as well, that I want to take back to the mayor. Mr. Mayor, the point that Dr. Vilakazi is making is these people that you are now saying have been trading where there's no trading allowed all along, they didn't get there overnight. There was this turning a blind eye to this phenomenon as it was developing. And I know that you've not been in office for all this tenure that this has happened, but it has happened over a period of years. Are you willing to take responsibility, at least for that part, that says, we wouldn't be here if bylaw enforcement was there, if issuing of permits was always consistent and dependable?
Yes, I'm responsible. It's going concern. And certainly we have admitted that there's been lawlessness over time in the city. The departments dropped the ball, whether it's bylaw enforcement or any other issues within the city. Now we're enforcing, we're changing course, we're ensuring that everybody is focused on the job. There's been a number of weaknesses around the trading issues. We're correcting all those, and we have to ensure that we do correct them so that we support properly SMMEs. We can invest in them in a more structured way, ensure that South Africans in particular benefit in terms of this economy. So that is the focus that we're doing as the city. And the courts will not deter us. We'll allow the court processes. We respect the courts. We have our own lawyers that are defending our case. We should be okay.
Dr. Vilakazi, what are the other elements that need to come together for this initiative to become successful? A part of me is concerned that it might end up being a fight about street trading and the rights of street traders versus bylaw enforcement to the extent that we don't focus on the other elements, the infrastructural decay that has been happening in that city, the safety concerns in and around the inner city, and other elements as well. So what are the other elements that need to come together for this to be something that starts the turnaround of the inner city of Joburg?
Yeah, I think the starting point is enforcing the bylaws and creating a sense that there's visible change happening. Because a big part of what must happen is that those who are responsible for driving the change must be motivated, and they must see that their efforts lead to something tangible, and it's creating value for everyone. So to get those people motivated, you need to show something tangible happening. And I mean, I'm sure now even the the staff members of Johannesburg City, when they are walking around and they're seeing all the impact and the great work and the great reviews that they're getting, they are feeling encouraged that they must do more. Then the question is, what is the next hanging fruit that then the mayor must grab to build on the visible impact that must be seen for all to start buying into it? So the starting point has been the great starting point. But obviously then everything else must come to place. The resources that need to be mobilized to ensure that we, for instance, the finances that are required to refurbish all of the buildings that need to be refurbished, the infrastructure that needs to be refurbished, those are big impact efforts that need to be put in place. But showing consistent, visible changes is critical.
All right, let's leave it there for this afternoon. I've got to thank all of you for having joined me. That's Dr. Sibongile Vilakazi. Of course, we were also joined by Deborah Raduba, who is an attorney at SERI, as well as the mayor of the City of Johannesburg, that is Dada Morero.